Hello and welcome back. In the last few sections, we've been working on getting the filter by category function to work, and we've done a little bit of work in terms of setting up the APIs and getting the connectivity from the UI to the API going. Okay, and now for the last mile objective is to actually bring those filter dishes onto our catalog component. Okay, so let's see how we can go about it. I'll head over to my editor here, which is API_IndieCafe, right here. And we left off here last time when we convened to get this done. And in here, we have a couple of mistakes. I'm sorry, this is the API_IndieCafe. We need to work with FE_IndieCafe, which is the front-end UI-centric code, all right, of the project. So in here, we made a interesting mistake. So we do have a get filter dishes here, and this in turn essentially calls get filter dishes here. So this is going to create a loop, and eventually, so sometimes these typos happen, and it could also be the problem with the auto suggest, and if you overuse it, sometimes you end up with these issues. What we need to do here is call this particular method, which is the get filter dish list. So it's important to not name the methods the same way, because if the namespace conflicts. So let me go ahead and invoke this here. So this should be fine now. And then what we're going to do here is, after we essentially invoke this method, we are setting the result in here. And the next thing we want to do here is, just like we had a display method here for the dishes, we'll also create a display method here for the filter dishes as well. Okay, so let me go ahead and create the same thing. It's essentially a copy paste of this one, except a couple of changes here and there. But yeah, we could also do some refactoring in terms of making this a single method, but for now I would like to keep it different. I'm going to say display filtered dishes. Okay, and I'm going to be saying replace this with filter dishes. Okay, super. And yeah, I think everything else should be the same now, right? And I also need to call this in here wherever we have called display dishes, right? So right here, I'll be calling either this, or put this in flower brackets, call this in here. All right. So essentially what I'm trying to do here is, if you go into the display filter dishes here, it is going to be only displayed if the length of the filter dishes is greater than 0. At no point in time we are actually displaying both of the states. So let's see what we can get here. Before I go ahead and make that change, what I want to do here is I just want to see if the wiring is perfect. I think this one we're calling it after. Yeah, we're supplying this as part of the handle filtering here. Okay, so let me go ahead and actually do a console data. Okay, that's essentially going to help us understand what's happening. We'll go ahead and get rid of that at some point in time, but in the immediate interest, we would need to console up this to understand what's happening with our calls. Okay, so let's see. I will probably let me go ahead and use the Alt-Control L. Control-Alt-L, and let me go ahead and select this. Control-Alt-L. Okay, super. That's what I want. Yeah, it's highlighted and it stands out. Alright, let's go ahead and test this now. I will enable my console to make sure that things are doing okay here. Clear it. Go over to my network tab, clear it, and there we go. Let me go ahead and choose the first option. Hey, something happened here. Looks like there was an issue. Request failure 404. I think it's not able to find that method. We'll have to go back and check what's happening. Let's see. But the good thing is that we are actually sending our category, as far as I can understand. I can see it here. Let's see. Alright, turns out the categories are actually going in as null. I just headed over to the network tab here, look to the payload that's actually being sent. The categories are null, and there's a reason behind that. Okay, let's head over to our code base here, and if we look back here to our color. We're not passing the categories here. So let's get inside this. This is actually getting categories array as an input, right? So which we are not sending here from the catalog component. So let's go ahead and send that here. And now, hopefully, it should take care of that. Alright, I think we did send another request. Let me go ahead and look for... Let's go ahead and quickly refresh this part so we have the complete updated code. Let's see what happens here. So we are able to get all the data, and the only thing that we want to see here is whether we can filter on a particular criteria. Okay, so in here I'm still getting the same error apparently, which is interesting because either it says the category was not sent. Let's see, go back to the network tab in here, look for search. Yeah, there we go, and this is the latest one. In fact, we are sending the categories, but the response is 404, interestingly. Okay, let's see what's happening here. I will have to go back to my API code right now, and it is actually giving us a 404, interestingly. We'll have to do some debugging here right now. So let's see, we did have a route for dishes category and search. I hope we actually did that with API there. Yeah, but it didn't come with API, by the way. Okay, so that could be the issue. Let's see why we're actually not sending the API. I think we're omitting the API here. So let's head over to our code base. Interestingly, we made some bad errors here. Head over to index.js, and in here I'll have to essentially provide the API here. I think now it should be all chugging. Alright, let's see. I'll head over to the landing page, come over back to the catalog, keep my console open, and look at a particular category. Let's see, if I choose this, I should be getting something back. Alright, hopefully I did. Let's see, this was filter dishes. Yeah, it is the filter dishes, and you're getting some data in here. Okay, super. We are getting 4 objects here. So right now it's essentially displaying the data multiple times. Okay, if you look at it, there is this South Indian dishes here at the front, and there is also this other set of the same set of dishes being displayed here. So we need to do a little bit of cleanup in terms of our state. So let's go ahead and do this. So what we're going to do here is essentially whenever we call the filtered dishes, we will go ahead and clear the actual dishes here. Okay, so but we do so a little bit carefully. For example, if the categories is only populated, then we need to call this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say set dishes. Okay, because I'm going to be set dishes, yeah, and this is going to be again an empty array. Okay, that should be fine right now. So hopefully if I go back to the code now, it should be showing only okay, I need to refresh this. Okay, let me go ahead and refresh. It shouldn't give me any other data apart from South Indian dishes. Yeah, I hope so this time around. Yeah, we are getting only four dishes back. Okay, super. So let's say I add North Indian to it now. I get 3 more here. Okay, these are North Indian. And likewise, let's say I choose not to go with North Indian, it lists only 4. And if I go ahead and choose this is going to have no effect at all. Right now it should actually be showing everything, and right now it's not showing. So it is not updating our view. And if I go ahead and choose this, it should choose, essentially give us only stuff related to Mexican cuisine. And let's say I go for Italian, it should list the Italian stuff as well here. Okay, so the requirement here is to actually, whenever I choose deselect every one of them, I have to get all the other dishes here, right, regardless of which category they belong to. And to do that, let's head over back to our editor. Okay, and in here I'm going to do a conditional API call. Okay, so first thing is I'm going to get the length of the categories here. I'm going to say const categories length, and that's going to be categories.length. Okay, super. And I'm going to use that to essentially conditionally call the APIs here. So in here, I'll say const result is equal to if categories length is greater than 0. Okay, and I'm going to say wait get filter dishes and categories. Otherwise, I'm going to say wait get dish list. Okay, super. So this essentially what it's going to do is if I've deselected all the categories, this is going to go over and get all the dishes here. Okay, super. And similarly, I'm going to say if categories length, now I need to populate the appropriate state variables, right? So if categories length is greater than 0, I'm going to say set dishes. It's going to be an empty array. I want to clear the set whatever is there in the dishes because they are not part of the search. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and set the filter dishes state to an empty array. Okay, and you also need to say after we get the result back, it's greater than 0, something is wrong here. Okay, I need to say greater than 0 and then the question mark here. Okay, that should take care of that. And in here, I then need to set the dishes with the appropriate data as well. So if categories length greater than 0, then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set filtered dishes. Okay, it's going to be result.data. Otherwise, I'm going to set the dishes state to result.data. Okay. Alright, so hopefully this should do the trick for us. Let's check that in our UI. Okay, so right now it is getting us all the data. So all the dishes are being shown because we have not selected any of the categories. Okay, let me go ahead and select the first one, South Indian. So I should be essentially getting, oops, what happened? Okay, it's becoming responsive suddenly. Let me go ahead and refresh this. Okay, something went wrong. Alright, do you spot the error? So let's say I go here. It's not responding. So right now, this has become unresponsive, and there's a reason for that, and we talked about it also, I think, in the last lecture. The reason is we are essentially going in a loop. So in here, I should have said if this is greater than 0, the categories length, I should be calling get filter dish list. I think that was the method here. Okay, and because the methods were the same, it was essentially looping here in this part of the code. So let's see if we actually get something in here right now. Let's go ahead and refresh this. All right, so we're getting everything back from the server. Let me go ahead and restrict this. We get 4 of them. Let's go ahead and choose another category, which is North Indian. So now it should actually give us more data. Yes, it does, right? Super. And let's see if I choose this one now, it should actually show me 4, which it is doing right now. And if I go ahead and deselect everything, it should again show me back everything. Okay, super. So this is working as expected, guys. And only thing that we want to do here is we want to let the user know that something is working behind the scenes, and in terms of, let's say, a kind of a spinner or something like that, that's something that we need to add here. We'll go ahead and do that in sometime in the near future. But for now, we have the filter by category working. All right, super. Another thing before we finish we want to do here is that this is always in an underlined mode, so always having the water bottom here, right? So even if I go here, that is still having the water bottom here. That's something that we need to fix. Let's go ahead and do that. Now let's head over to our code base. I'll open the IndieCafe front-end code here, back to our editor, and let me close these two two windows or tabs for now. Close everything, and I will head over to my navbar component, which is going to be right inside components, layout, and there we go. Okay, and in here, if you look at it, the catalog component it appears to be always active right now. Yeah, it is always active right now. Okay, so we need to make sure this becomes active dynamically only when it's getting clicked. And the way we can do that here is by checking whether the location of the window is actually on /catalog. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this stuff here because I'm going to use that shortly. So inside here, inside the flower braces, I'm going to check if the Windows location, the current Windows location, and I'm going to access that by saying window.location and dot path name here, and this is equal to essentially /catalog. If this is equal to catalog, and then I would have the active class, right? And I'm going to go ahead and stick this in. Okay, I think I already have the braces. I'm sorry, the double quotes. Let me go ahead and put this in. Otherwise, if it is not here, I don't want the active class to be there. Okay, so I'm going to just say nav item. Okay, super. So with this change, it has to essentially work. Another thing I want to do here is instead of I also want to make use of the links. Okay, so let me go ahead and bring them in, and that's going to be part of our React Router DOM. So I'm going to say import link from React-Router DOM. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and replace this here right now. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so let me go ahead and replace this with a link and this one as well. And I also need to make sure instead of href, I need to say replace it with the name of 2. So I think this should help us get over that particular issue. Let's see, it's compiling still. It is saying cannot resolve React Router DOM. Interesting. Have we not? Interesting. We have already done the React Router DOM here, I thought. Okay, I think there's a typo here. Sometimes the semicolon actually goes inside the single quote. Okay, let me go ahead and correct that. Should be okay now. Alright, super. Let's head over to the UI and let me go ahead and refresh that. I think now this time around it should go away, and if I come here, it should come up here as well. Super. So we have solved that issue, and we need to do that change as we go ahead and do these changes for the other components as well. So let's go ahead and do that in the subsequent lectures. For now, we will go ahead and take a pause and come back and see what next we can do. All right? Until then, let's take a pause.